What's up, guys? Welcome to Vintage Genetics, where it is all about classic bodybuilding. And today it's a long-awaited Q&A I posted about a week ago on my community tab. And every time I ask you guys to ask me questions, you send me in above 100 questions, which is very much appreciated. And a lot of you guys ask good questions, and I pick the best ones out that I think is useful for a lot of people. But the questions I definitely will answer is the ones of the members. As you can see right here, some Vintage Genetics supporters get this icon with which you can tell they are active supporters of the channel, and those questions I will ask first. So let me get started on the first question, and that is by Mac Dooley. And his question is, would you share your secrets of your trick box? Honestly, I don't know what a trick box is. I even searched it on the Urban Dictionary, which most slang terms are on, and even then I couldn't really tell what definition I should go by for a trick box. So if you guys have the answer for me, if you can define what it is, put it down in the comments, and then I'll still answer it on the next Q&A. So I would love to answer this question, but if I don't know what it is, unfortunately, I can't give an answer. All right, next question by Wout Schoonbaert. Hey man, love your videos, keep up the good work. I was wondering if you have stretch marks, and so yes, where? And what is your weight right now? I do have stretch marks. I don't know if you can see them right here. As you can see, these stretch marks are from lifting, from doing flies like this. You can see them a little bit right there. But they were much worse a few years ago. Well, probably like 5 or 6 years ago I already had them. And then they were fury red, like really red. And over time, the tissue will attempt to heal, thicken up, collagen will build, and then it will be thicker, so it won't show the red color of blood, but it will actually fade out and become a little more white. So even if you have stretch marks right now that are new, usually those are red, and if you are worried that they will stay like that, they most likely will not. They will fade over time, but it is important to have a healthy diet with plenty of fats in your diet, so on the inside of your body, mechanisms will start to play, get in action to make sure your skin is more elastic. All the membranes of every cell of your skin needs those fatty acids to become elastic, very stretchy. And if it's very brittle, for people who don't take in a lot of fats, especially essential fatty acids like omega-3, then they will have problems with getting more stretch marks. So one of the reasons why I don't have super enormous stretch marks showing right now, even though I'm a lot bigger than a few years ago, is because the diet has been a lot better. So mostly stretch marks are around my armpits and around my back right here, because the back pretty much exploded very quickly and then very slowly it built out again. But right now, not really any new stretch marks. Next question by another supporter, by Burke Demirki. All right, that's quite a longer question, but let me read it real quick. I've been able to train my muscle groups once a week with bodyweight exercises. I take a day off after doing a 30 to 40 minute 12 to 16 set workout and try to eat as much protein as possible from rich protein sources to keep the muscle gains. The first question is, what should I do not only to gain some muscle, but also to increase my body fat, but also not to increase my body fat a lot? The second question is that I have had back acne for more than a year. Your skin looks healthy and great, so what would you recommend me to get rid of them? Although I try to add plenty of vegetables to my diet and increase the amount of water that I had drunken, they did not work well. Well, the moment you implement something, and this is for the last question, the moment you implement something to get rid of acne or acne scarring or anything like that, it takes a lot of months for that to disappear, especially on the back. The blood flow in the thick skin of the back is a lot less than, for example, inside the muscle. So any damage on the skin will be resolved a lot slower. So even though you're already working on making sure that your acne or acne scars are going to disappear, it might take a while before actually seeing the effects. One thing already doing correctly is drinking water, and you can never pretty much drink enough water, obviously not to the extreme, but what already helps is just when you wake up, drink a liter of water. If you then do 20 minutes of cardio, after those 20 minutes, you literally detoxify your body because you pee out what you just drunk. And the pee won't be white, it'll be yellow, the urine. And that color means toxins being gotten rid of from your body, which is good. Otherwise, if your body can't get rid of it through your organs, the biggest organ still available, the skin, and then it pushes it out like that. Also, when you do a workout and you sweat, just take off your clothes as soon as you can. Obviously, right now, since you're working out at home, it's much easier. Just work out, go shower, and put on some fresh clothes. That really helps for the skin as well. But then again, the liver is also a detoxifier of the body. If the liver can't keep up with your toxic production in your body, it'll still have to find a way to get rid of it, and that's also sometimes through the skin. Also, if you eat a lot of fatty foods with saturated fats, that has been shown to also go through the skin, of course, because mostly acne is formed by fatty substances and bacteria accumulating, making a mess, blocking pores, and then you get that, those pimples and stuff like that, and that's not what you want. But again, about the liver, I would recommend, of course, drinking enough water. Apple cider vinegar helps very well. Citrus, squeezed lemons, actually freshly squeezed lemons in the morning, combined with the apple cider vinegar, combined with some water, really helps cleanse the liver as well. And also the supplement milk thistle helps quite a lot to clean out the liver. So when the liver is fully functional, your diet is healthy, you're drinking enough water, you're showering often enough, and you clean your bed often enough, because every single night you don't want to lay on the same sheets where you lay your sweat, your toxins on, because then otherwise it's just going to be reabsorbed in the skin and it'll show as pimples, and that's not what you want as well. But if you follow all those rules, you should have much clearer skin. And honestly, during this quarantine, if you can only do bodyweight exercises, the most you can hope for is maintain muscle mass. The best thing you can do right now is, if you don't have a lot of money to spend or you don't want to spend a lot of money, get some resistant bands, and you can do pull-ups way easier. Sometimes pull-ups are simply too difficult to do a full workout with for the back, because you can do wide grip, narrow grip, medium grip, supinated and stuff like that. So what you want to do is get some bands to help you up. You can actually do a lighter set, harder set, and a failure set, and then you can get a nice back workout in. And for the push-ups, sometimes that's too easy. You can easily do 30 to 40 in a row. So then you wrap a resistant band around you, and then you push as the band adds resistance to the push-up, and it makes it a lot more difficult. So you then can at least get some bodyweight exercises in that are more difficult to achieve, and that will cause more impulse for muscle growth. But just make sure to eat enough protein, use this time to get enough rest, recover entirely, sleep enough, and yes, what you're saying, rich protein sources, eat those. Preferably every 2 to 3 hours, to make sure you keep telling your body to grow muscle. All right, next question by Nick Broder. How many meals a day do you find optimal? Also, have you ever tried a golden era diet, eating high fat and protein with low carb? The amount of meals that I find optimal is 5 to 6 meals a day. If you think logically, a lot of people also ask me about, does 1 meal or 2 meals with an enormous amount of protein have the same effect compared to a lot of meals in the same day, but at the end of the day have the same amount of protein accumulated? You want to have a protein spike every time you can. If you eat a protein meal with 200 grams of protein compared to one with 40 grams of protein, it might be a surprise, but the spikes in muscle synthesis or muscle growth is the same for both. even though one has 5 times the amount of protein. That doesn't matter because your body can only use so much protein to build muscle in one sitting, so to say. So what you want to do is create as many of those opportunities as possible. So eating one meal is pretty much useless because you then only have one spike and the rest of the day it'll be neutral or even in a muscle breakdown state. What you want to have is you want to have 6 muscle building states throughout the day, and then you have 6 times as much muscle protein synthesis compared to only having one meal, as an extreme example. And about the golden era diet, high fat and protein with low carb, I pretty much only do that in a contest prep. Then my carbs pretty much go to 0. Especially in the last few weeks. Some days they might go to 100, on a leg day, for example, but most days they can be very low. The fats are then medium because they're not very high anymore because the calories need to be dropped, and the protein is very high. So the golden era diet, the golden era physiques weren't the most shredded guys, and nowadays it's simply important to be very shredded. So in my opinion, those diets could be great for gaining muscle, but then again, the low carb situation, it's hard to get in enough calories and enough energy to get most out of the workout. So personally, I never really follow a diet like that. All right, next question by Emil CS Gosan. What do you think about having tattoos as a bodybuilder, and what do you think about occlusion training? For your first question, tattoos on a bodybuilder can be acceptable if they don't distract from the physique, if you can see all the definition possible. So if you only have a tattoo on your forearm, I believe just like Dorian Yates had, which was a Mr. Olympia, just like Chris Bumstead has, which is a classic physique Mr. Olympia, you can obviously get very good results. But if you have tattoos all over your chest, your abs, or entire sleeve, or your back, it takes away from definition, it takes away from symmetry, because if you have one arm that's covered and the other arm is not, it kind of warps the size and the definition of one side compared to the other. So it won't work as a bodybuilder, in my opinion, if you are heavily tattooed. And your second question was about occlusion training. To be honest, I've never tried it up until a few weeks ago. Occlusion training, what is it? You pretty much, for example, if you want to use it for arms, you wrap a band around your arms to make sure that if you get a pump, the blood can go in, but it can't really go out. And that means a lot of oxygen-deprived blood remains in the muscles, and that creates a lot of metabolites, and that is one of the 2 main reasons of muscle growth. One reason is maximum amount of tension on the muscle fibers by using heavy weights, but the second one is the pump, getting as much blood in the muscle as possible, swelling up those muscle cells, and it also creates muscle growth. So I tried it because I had some bicep tendon pain. So if I want to go very heavy, the moment that I go to a certain weight, I would feel it more in the tendon than on the bicep on most exercises. Now, to prevent that, I simply needed to skip the high weights and only remain in the lower weights, but I didn't want to do 30 set reps. So what you could then do is do blood flow restriction workouts or exercises, just like the occlusion training, pretty much means the same. And what you then do, it automatically happens, is if you could do, for example, 50 kilos for 15 reps, that will be now impossible. Then you could only do 30 kilos for 15 reps. It feels just as difficult, and all of a sudden, there's no oxygen again anymore to provide you energy to do the rep, and then you simply stop. But the muscle is fully saturated with blood, pumped up to the max, because not any blood can go back into the system. So that's pretty much the idea behind it. You can lift with a bit more volume, but a lot less weight, with the same difficulty effect as without a blood flow restriction band. So I've tried it, and I actually do quite like it, because I'm a bodybuilder that likes to combine strength, but also a very good pump. So for movements, especially for smaller muscle groups, where super heavy weights don't really make sense anyway, training like that actually prevents tension on the tendons and creates tension only where you want it in the muscles. I'll actually make a video about this, me training using the occlusion training, and then I'll explain my reasoning behind it, and you can actually see how it works. But I do kind of recommend it for people who can't train heavy for one reason or another. For example, elbow tendonitis, knee pain, tendon pain, stuff like that. Then you could try it out and see if it works. Okay, next question by Surendra. In a few videos you said hamstrings are your weak body part. Is it lacking definition from behind or hang from the side? Well, actually the definition itself is quite good, especially from behind if I am obviously defined enough, which I was at the Royal London Pro, my first pro show, and my last pro show, the Romania Pro. My hamstrings look pretty cut, so I can see the details. So it's not the hamstring quality, but it's the hamstring size. So yes, I have to do a side chest. The hang of the hamstring needs to drop a little lower, creating an illusion of a much bigger leg than it actually is, which because in a side chest you press your legs together and then the muscle gets squished and pushed out and then it looks bigger. And if you only have a bit more hamstring muscle, it looks a lot bigger in poses like that, and that's what I've been working on. And I have to say the hamstring drop, the hang, has increased, so I'm very happy about that. And it's going to take a while now before the Olympia will be occurring, so in the meantime I'll still be making some more improvements for sure. Alright, next one by Ricardo Del Pozo. What's your opinion about doing a high volume workout more often versus going high intensity every time and have a longer rest between workouts? Well, honestly, the combination of both. So when people talk about high volume workouts, most people might mean simply doing a lot of sets, a lot of reps, getting a good pump, but not really getting deep into that muscle fiber. I can easily do 30 reps on the chest press, get a very good pump, look really swollen, a lot of blood in there, but I never really recruited all of the muscle fibers because that is not necessary to create a pump. What you want to do is you want to combine some volume with the intensity. And what does intensity mean? Pretty much going to failure on a few sets. For example, the last 1 to 2 sets on the chest press, the second to last set, you'd go to failure on around 8 to 10 reps. That's the true intensity heavy part. And then the set after that is a different rep range, 15 to 20 reps. You go to failure again. And then you can say, well, it's higher volume, but still the intensity is there. It's not like you do 20 reps and then you stop a few reps from failure. That's not what you should do. If you want to grow, you have to challenge your muscles and the next time try to beat the amount of reps you did, because if you don't go to failure and you beat yourself from the last time, it doesn't really matter because you still didn't reach failure last time, because now even though you beat yourself, it's still not to the max you can do. You have to reach your max and go beyond your max to create new muscle. Okay, next question by Flying OG. How should you think when you structure a workout? I see that you point out compound first, unilateral, and so on. Do you pre-exhaust sometimes? When do you go to failure on isolation or compound or both? Well, to answer the last part, I go to failure on pretty much any exercise I do, but the type of failure is different. So when I do a bench press or an incline bench press or a squat, so the heavier compounds, I always do 2 sets. What I just mentioned, 1 set is very heavy with correct form, going to failure in a lower rep range, and to me lower is 6 to 10. And if you go if you reach that point of failure, you have enough rest in between those sets until you're fully ready for the next set. And then you hit a rep range of around 15 plus. Could be 20 or 25 even, depending on the weight you use. But usually I like to use 20% less weight than the heaviest weight I did in the lower rep range. So then you have 2 sets to complete failure on different rep ranges, targeting different muscle fibers. The one is for maximum tension and the other is also for maximum tension, but also getting some more blood in there, more volume. So that is my failure approach to compounds, and to unilateral movements or isolation movements. It's only one set to failure, the last one, and almost never in the low rep range. To me, it's no use to go to failure on a bicep curl on 5 reps. It only puts pressure on things you don't want to put stress and pressure and tension on. You only want it on the bicep, and if you go way too heavy, you have to use momentum. The stress will go on your tendons, what I mentioned before. You only want it on the muscle, and if you use an isolation movement, you can do more reps, concentrate more on it, just like a unilateral movement, like a dumbbell row. To me, it's useless to do 5 super heavy reps, because then you will use your obliques, your abs to stabilize yourself. Just use more reps, controlled reps to failure, and squeeze every single time. So what I always like to do is do a few compounds first. For example, in the chest workout, 4 compounds first, and then 3 compounds first for the chest, then 1 isolation, just like a chest fly, and then do 2 to 3 tricep movements, which are mostly isolation, and at least one of them will be a unilateral movement. So always the heavy compounds first, and then move on to more isolation and unilateral work, which is lighter later in the workout. Okay, next one is by Hermanus. Wes, now we train at home. Most of us have a few weights and mostly lighter ones. Should we do more reps and sets, even when this means your last working set of an exercise is, for example, 25 reps? Yes. It has been proven that even sets up to 30 reps, if you go to failure at least, you will still build muscle. So that kind of has to do with the metabolites more than, the tension on the muscle. Because if you use a very light weight, it's simply very difficult to hit every single motor unit in the muscle, because it has also been proven if you go very heavy, you automatically, even if you want it or not, you will hit every single muscle, motor unit, and muscle fiber when you simply go very heavy and to failure. But now you can't, so you have to do more reps. So you go to failure every time that you can, at least 1 set on every exercise, even if it takes 20, 25, or 30 reps. That still will put some muscle on, not as quickly as combining 2 different rep ranges, but it still will do the job for what it can do in this particular situation. So even if you can only train light, just see it as another type of training you're going to do that differs from what you used to do. There's a different stimulus for your body. Get used to that first, and before you even get used to it, the gyms will hopefully open where you live and you can go back to what you used to do. But then you at least did a different type of training in between, get different stimulus, probably a lot of muscle ache as well. So who knows, it might actually really work for you. Okay, next one is by Alvaro Miguel. Hello Wes, big fan from Portugal. I would like to kindly ask if your supplement formula, Gladiator Pro, is adequate for lactose intolerant lifters like me. Thank you very much. I wish you the best luck. I wish you the best luck as well. So the whey isolate that I produced for Gladiator Pro, the brand that I represent, I made sure that the whey isolate doesn't contain lactose. The main difference between a whey concentrate and a whey isolate is the isolate already says it. It's isolated out all the bad stuff. The extra fats, the carbs that go with the concentrate are filtered out, especially the carbs, because lactose are milk sugars. And we filtered those out of the isolate. So you have a lot of different isolates on the market. And I have a lot of people also who asked me, well, I've used a whey isolate before, but still I get the lactose intolerant effects that I get even if I drink normal milk. So the isolate they take isn't really a high quality isolate. If you look at the amount of protein on the top of this whey isolate, and let me grab it for a second, it says pretty much 91 grams per 100 grams. Because that it's so high, the rest has to be low. A lot of protein brands, even if they are also a whey isolate, are below the 90 grams. And if it's below 90 grams, that means other stuff has to be there that takes up the space of the protein, such as the lactose and the extra fats. So it's not been filtered out to the same degree as this one, as the whey isolate from this brand. So lactose intolerant people have used this whey isolate and they have not had any complaints. We coach people also on location right here, and one person in particular could not ever take any milk type of protein powder. He had to resort to vegan protein powders because he couldn't stomach it, literally. It had the lactose intolerant effects on him. But I advised him to try this out first, and then he did, and he didn't have any issues at all. So now he's able to use this one, which is awesome news. Because yes, you can say that people with lactose intolerance can take it, but it's another thing to actually see that people take it and have them experience no trouble at all. So based on those experiences and based on the literal ingredients in there, you can be safe even if you have a lactose intolerance. Okay, let's see. Next question by 13th Honey Badger. Wrecked by West Nile virus. Interesting name. Will you ever go to America to train and prep for the Olympia? And do you have any plans of collaborating with other Classic Physique competitors? I have collaborated with David Hoffman before in this very gym. I'll be going, well, the plan was to be going to his gym as well, but then this crisis happened, so that has been postponed, but I will be collaborating with him. Obviously, that is a pro in Europe, in Germany, very close to where I live, so it was easier. The American pros and the Canadian pros are a bit more difficult to collaborate with as they are literally on the other side of the world. Which is one of the reasons why I even started the supporter ability to support this channel. Because then I can actually save up extra investment money to actually go there for reasons like that. But the next time I go to America, I of course will do my best to contact anybody in the vicinity that is there, and the next time will probably be the Olympia. So it will be also to do some nice videos. Doesn't have to be workout videos, but at least some form of collaboration with another Classic Physique pro. But I don't think I'll ever go to America specifically to train and prep the entire time for the Olympia, because I can do that right here in my own gym, which is pretty amazing. All right, next question by Mohammed Amine Haidara. How many years do you train, and when you started seriously to get to that level? I'm 27 now. Turned 27 7 days ago, which is awesome. And I started when I was 14. When I was 14, of course, the first few years were not serious. So let's just say when I was 18, I started training more seriously, understanding the training more seriously. So that takes me to 9 years of serious training. Every single year, the seriousness goes up, especially when I started bodybuilding on my 20th year of life. So you can say that at least 7 years were truly serious, really geared towards training for a competition. So it took me 7 years of aiming to fix my weak points and improve my body to become a Classic Physique pro. I did turn pro when I was 24 though, but to me I'm still not done at all, because to me the goal is to be the Classic Physique Mr. Olympia. Obviously, that's why I'm doing the competition, to eventually win it. So that's my goal, and yes, that's pretty much how it went. Seriously started training when I was 20 for competitions, and still doing that today and many more years, even if I reach the level of the highest bodybuilder in Classic Physique on the planet, I will not stop. All right, next question by NEE or NE. Congratulations on your new arrival. How does it feel knowing you're going to be a father soon? And that's an amazing feeling, guys. You guys who already are a father, you can understand. But if you're not a father yet, and I didn't understand this either, You simply cannot comprehend the feeling that you feel when you realize that your girlfriend, significant other, is pregnant with your child. And that's amazing. It'll be a boy, by the way, for people who do not know, which is also pretty amazing. And, it just gives you the most special feeling in the world. And for me, bodybuilding has always been a selfish sport. This sport is how I sustain myself. It's where I make all my money. Of course, also selling the Vintage Genetics clothing line, the supplements you just saw, also the workout plans. But it all has to do because I made a name in bodybuilding. So without bodybuilding, nothing I'm doing today I would be doing, making money with it. But that has all been for me. Mostly also the family, of course, but mostly for yourself to sustain your own livelihood, which is what most people work for. But once you get a child, your own son, then it changes. The whole definition of the work you do changes. It's not just for yourself or a bit for your family. It's almost now going to be more for your child than for yourself. It adds a level of motivation that you have not felt before. When you're doing something for yourself, sometimes, I'm not a truly selfish person, so I always find it difficult to sacrifice a lot, sacrificing time with others for myself. But now, when I make a sacrifice, it's not just going to be for me, but also for my son. And when I say that, it still sounds unbelievable, but the drive to now prep for the Olympiad to do my best is way higher than it's ever been before, because the better I do, the better I perform, the better it will be for your own child. So that's just the biggest difference, and it feels incredible, and it's hard to put into words, but for those of you who want to get children, and that feeling, you will understand once it happens. Okay, let's see the last question actually by Michael Kim. Proper form and squeezing the muscle, really that important? I see pro bodybuilders using momentum, which is not right in the textbook. You're right that it's not textbook lifting if you don't use a full range of motion with squeeze of the chest, on the chest press for example, or a dumbbell press or whatever. But those pro bodybuilders built their physique training like that, and now they add intensifying techniques to improve about body parts instead of just trying to get bigger and bigger. At least that's what most pro bodybuilders who are mass monsters are doing. But in my opinion, proper form and squeezing is very important. I lately saw a study that even if you do light sets, if you use mind-muscle connection, use full range of motion, and you can actually squeeze and feel the muscle, you will actually recruit more muscle fibers compared to if you just move the weight. You do the same weight, you do the same movement, but you don't use the mind-muscle connection. You use less muscle fibers, so less recruitment from the muscle fibers, which means less gains overall. However, I have to say that mostly happens on the lighter sets. When you go very heavy, like for example, if you go to your last set of the bench press, there's no way that you're going to consciously use mind-muscle connection. What you can only do is use correct form and let the muscle do the work. That is improvement as well. So the heavier the set is, the less mind-muscle connection matters. But if you want to progress in a safe way to the heavy sets, a mind-muscle connection is crucial. So it prevents injury, it makes sure the muscles are warm, it prepares the muscles better for a heavier set. So I don't know if this has been proven yet, but this is my theory and practical experience. If you do use mind-muscle connection from the first set on, you're better prepared to hit more and heavier, more reps and a heavier weight on the last set, because you're better filled with blood. The muscle is more used to recruiting all the muscle fibers, so less chance of injury and more chance of doing a better set. So if you don't do that, a lot of people who have injuries do actually move the way that you described, the momentum way, the short range of motion way, the anti-mind muscle connection way. That simply will injure muscles. So, all right, those were all the questions. I will start doing live Q&A seminars, sessions. Kind of a seminar maybe, because most seminars that bodybuilders do are Q&As. But anyway, it's going to be a longer Q&A. I'm not sure how long this one is, but I had some catching up to do. So every single week I want to do on the same day of the week. I don't know which day it will be yet, depends on the schedule, but at one day of the week I want to do a live Q&A for you guys and answer your questions live. Maybe I'll also do it on Instagram at the same time, so I'll be able to answer questions from both Instagram, and my tag is @WesleyVissers, and the YouTube channel Vintage Genetics. Alright guys, I really want to thank you for watching, and before I let you go, we recently added a lot of clearance items on vintagegenetics.com for a very cheap price, because those items will go away and will be replaced by newer items in the future. So make sure to get yours before they're gone, because they will be gone really quickly. Anyway guys, thank you for watching, and don't forget to stay golden.